Hey, wait, is this thing on? Oh, it is. Hey guys, this is editor agent here, and I just wanted to inform you that we have a new goal, and the new goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yeah, I know it's a big goal from where we're at right now, but I believe in you, and you, the viewer, yeah, you. If you look down slightly, yeah, keep looking more. You see that? Yeah, that's the subscribe button. If you press it, you'll get notified about my videos and content. And every time I post, you will know about it. So yeah. And if you press the like button, you will show even more people about this spectacular content that you so love and enjoy. And also, just a random fact on the screen. There's just, new content that's going to come out when we reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm totally not spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, you know, editor editor agent, I guess, is probably writing some stuff on the screen. If he is, make sure you don't pay attention to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I am not a sellout, by the way, so yeah, don't worry about what it says on the screen. Just completely ignore that. But yeah, I've wasted your time enough. Unless you didn't do it. If you didn't do it, I'll wait. No, but like seriously, do it. Okay, so you probably did it by now. Back to your regularly scheduled program. What's up, guys? I am excited to finally tell you that this is the 800 subscriber special. Now, I didn't know if I was going to do subscriber specials, but I decided that you guys should be rewarded for the hard work and effort that you guys have, helped me with, my videos and stuff like that. So I just thought that I should do it. But I've had this concept for a while, and I just decided that now I wanted to, pretty much give it to you guys. It's a little bit late considering that we are at 24, subscribers over 100, but 800, but I hope it still holds that presence. But really, thank you guys for getting, I'm pretty sure I'm calling you guys the agency now. So thank you guys for getting the agency to 800 subscribers. Well, really over 800 subscribers. So yeah, without any further ado, I'll get right into it. We start off with Izuku being born. Immediately with Izuku's birth, there immediately began to have problems. Inko immediately started rising in her temperature, and the doctors began to freak out considering they didn't want her to die during childbirth. The doctors started scrounging around for anything they could and not freaking out. Hasashi was just holding her hand, believing in her fully and her ability to bring their child to life. Eventually, Izuku manages to make his way out safely, but Izuku's temperature is highly risen. Most of the doctors see this as just, a normal thing because, well, considering that, the quirks exist, no one expected it to be out of the ordinary for his temperature to be higher than normal, right? Fire quirk users typically have that, so yeah. Anyway, Izuku was born, but he had white hair and white eyes. No one really questioned it because it was just, again, quirks. So yeah, Izuku went around during his life, having very good, reflexes and stuff like that, having ultra instinct since birth. His stamina for it has greatly increased, seeing as he can have it active all the time. And it kind of is active all the time. He can't really shut it off, but he can turn it to the point where he doesn't have to be conscious, which basically just means that he can rest and his body will move on its own while he's asleep. So, yeah, if he ever needs to regain stamina. But, yeah, when Izuku turned 4 years old, it found out that he didn't actually have a quirk. And his father took interest in this, seeing as Sasashi didn't actually have a quirk. And he was just a very good martial artist who actually wanted to be a hero. But because of the fact that the, ways of thinking were older back when he wanted to be a hero, they didn't allow it because they thought it would be too dangerous. He believed that his son having abilities such as that once he did would be greatly benefited by, learning martial arts. Hasashi immediately began to train the 4-year-old Deku to very good levels. But again, he was only 4 years old, so they often did meditation and stuff like that for Izuku to learn how to better use, better attack and counterattack instead of just being, a good defensive player. Izuku also had the ability that whenever his temperature rises, his reflexes and all of his bodily functions Like his perception slows down and his reflexes get faster, which basically allows him to keep up with speedier opponents. Because Izuku's power is not infallible. If you're faster than Izuku by a decent margin, you can probably graze him, which can lead to very dangerous things if something such as fire grazes him. Izuku's been trained mostly in physical aspects, though. He's learned pretty much a little bit of, some martial arts, but not much. And, he has the ability to overpower people with just sheer willpower and knock people out, kind of like Conker's Hockey. Or he can even just amplify the fear response of a person to unlimited degrees. And just if he looks at you and he kind of initiates it, he can amplify your fear response by tenfold, which can probably kill somebody. But yeah, Izuku's not going to use it for that purpose. When Izuku learned that one of his more important powers is that he actually, because of his indomitable will and also because of the ability that he's granted, he is actually sort of resistant to mind control attacks, because Izuku can force his will upon others, so of course he's a little bit resistant to others' will being forced upon him. So yeah. But Izuku continued training and just, kept on doing his thing. Izuku didn't have much problems in school, considering that he was powered in this version, and considering that he was literally impossible to touch. Izuku is also very fast. Izuku is much faster. With just Ultra Instinct or UI just always active, Izuku can dodge even more of the faster attacks, because it doesn't really rely on his own speed. So he can dodge even some of the faster opponents in My Hero Academia. But because of this, Izuku didn't have many problems, and all of the girls always fanned over Izuku's, his cat-like slit eyes that were white and his hair that was white. Everyone always thought it was so cool and it looked amazing on him. So of course the girls fanboyed him like Sasuke. This continued to boil the blood of Bakugo, but Bakugo really didn't care to this point, because he just decided that Izuku was just going to be his stepping stone. So yeah, when they finally turned around the age of 15 and they submitted their resumes to UA, and they were told that they would be able to take their exam in 10 months, Izuku began his training more intensely with his father. Mind you, his father is a very, very powerful person. He doesn't have a quirk. But in this world, people can get to really, really superhuman levels of strength and durability, just with a lot of training. So Sasashi's no slouch. He can easily move faster than most Olympic athletes, and he's stronger than most Olympic athletes, and more durable and more, has more stamina. So he's no slouch. When Hasashi comes at you, if he hits you, he can break bones instantly and stuff like that. When he goes at his father, he immediately tries to overpower him with his mental capacities, with his abilities. But Hasashi is not at all affected by this, considering that he is much stronger willed than Izuku, so it doesn't work. When Izuku figures this out, he immediately goes to his father, and his father tries to attack him, but Izuku dodges with ease and hits him in the back of the head, which basically does no damage. Izuku then runs at his father and punches him in the stomach, but Hasashi catches his hand before it actually makes contact. He then tries to flip Izuku over, but Izuku then lands on his feet. Hasashi then says that this will be difficult. He runs at his son again and tries to hit him in the head, but Izuku is easily able to dodge it. Hasashi's leg is caught and he's thrown into a tree, which actually gets broken upon him hitting it. And, he hits the wall of their, house, outer, their backyard has a wall, so, yeah. Hasashi gets up and runs at Deku with more and more speed every time. Deku being easily able to do dodge and stuff like that, even increasing his temperature by a decent bit so that his reaction speed could get faster and stuff like that, so he could, catch his father, because his father is pretty fast. I'm going to say that his dad is superhuman levels of speedy, considering that, he can run his father can run at 30, 40 miles per hour. So in short bursts, he can be really quick. Right? So yeah. Izuku's dodging this guy, barely keeping up. He keeps on increasing his temperature, but his body is starting to get really, really tired because his increasing his temperature often robs his body of air, so it's getting really hard to breathe. Hasashi sees an opening and actually is able to hit Izuku, which actually does send Izuku tumbling a bit, but he recovers. He runs at Izuku, and Izuku instantly closes his eyes and dodges the first punch, landing 3 punches of his own, 1 in the face and 2 in the stomach. Hasashi hits his knees, and Izuku then knees him in the face, kicking him into the wall part of their backyard, and Izuku continues a merciless assault until Inko has to tell him to stop because his father has, given up. Izuku then stops and looks at him and wonders if it was really him who did all of this. Hasashi is not at all mad, and he's actually really impressed with his son and says, "That ferocity is what's going to help you become a hero, my child. So don't ever give up on it. Believe in yourself. You won that battle, so you were the successor to my style of fighting. I leave it in your hands now. It is up to you to change it and modify it to how you see fit, and pass it on to your children if you so wish, because I leave it in your hands now." Izuku is a little bit dumbfounded at the sight that his father basically just gave up, all of his knowledge and stuff to Izuku and basically gave him the ability to be his successor. So yeah, Izuku is immediately just happy and with joy and hugs his father. So yeah, they pick him up and he recovers. Over the 10 months, Izuku basically just does meditation because his abilities are pretty high level. He doesn't really need to train that much after all. Izuku develops a couple other abilities like being able to, predict his opponent's movements before they do them because of the fact that his reaction speed is quicker, and also because Ultra Instinct controls the instinct of a person. And instinct is just what you do without thinking about it. So if a person is going to run away or something, he can tell what they're going to do before they do it. Izuku just continues his training fiercely until the day finally arrives. When the day finally arrives, Izuku decides that this is going to be the time where he's going to shine. He walks through past the gates and onto the steps, and everyone's looking at him, considering that no one wants to look him in the eye because his presence is a lot for them to handle, because most of them there are weaker than him by a considerable margin. So his aura is just super strong. Izuku then thinks to himself, "Oh, I was supposed to hide it," and he immediately pulls it all in, and everyone just doesn't actually notice it anymore and can breathe a little better now. Izuku takes all of the other tests easily and gets in decent places for the other tests besides the written exam. Izuku does really well in a written exam, but not the best. Then, we can just skip those because they're not really the important part. The important part is when we get to Izuku doing the practical exam. There's a couple changes where Bakugo is actually in his testing group. So yeah, Izuku's at the starting line and begins to stretch and jump up and down, jumping higher and higher every time, and everyone being shocked. Even, what is his name? I forget. But President Mike, even President Mike stopping his presentation to look at Izuku jumping higher and higher. He then presents, he just basically puts himself back together and says, "Okay, is everyone ready?" And then they all, kind of get in their positions, and he says, "Go, go, 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 go. There's no 1, 2, 3 in the real world, so go." And immediately everyone begins to run off. Izuku runs off shortly after a couple other people do, but before most of the mass of the group, so he begins taking off. Bakugo uses his explosions to get further ahead of Izuku and, starts bombing on all of these robots, and Izuku just is running up to one. When he finally gets over to one, it throws an attack. Izuku easily dodges and actually rips off its arm and then stabs it clean through with it. And everyone notices this, saying such superhuman strength. Izuku then starts, getting more powerful, so basically he just gets angrier and starts projecting his aura onto the robots, which can actually not knock them out, but it can fry their systems. So yeah, he does that, getting multiple points. Izuku also has the ability to harness the, not really hot air, but boiling levels of air like that come off his body. So when Izuku can touch things, he can actually melt them due to like how hot his body, like, and he can even send it out as kind of an attack, like a long range attack. So he can shoot from a long range, but it's like boiling levels of air, which are super hot, and can even rip apart metal, which he does. Izuku's easily tearing through these robots like it's nobody's business. And when he finally finishes gathering enough points, he decides that since there's no point in continuously fighting, he decides he's going to go back. That's when Bakugo comes over to him and lands in front of him and asks him, while all of the other students are fighting, "Who do you think you are?" And Izuku then says, "What are you talking about?" Bakugo then says, "There's a test going on. You're supposed to participate." Izuku then says, "I did participate. I've gotten all the points. I've gotten all the points I needed to get. I don't need to continue fighting, especially since I've already gotten all the points." Bakugo then gets angry with Izuku and tries to throw a punch. Izuku dodges and then says, "Really, Bakugo, you know me well enough to know that wouldn't work." Bakugo then says, "Shut up. You're just a disappointment. You were given an ability that allowed you to do pretty much whatever you want, and you're just really lucky. You don't actually have any talent. I hate people like you, people who have a silver spoon in their mouth." And Izuku says, "Really? Silver?" And Bakugo says, "It's not my fault your hair's white." Izuku then says, "I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I just happened to get lucky with my ability." And Bakugo says, "That's exactly what I'm talking about." Izuku then says, "So what about you? You were born with the perfect combination of your parents' quirk. You have nitroglycerin explosions. That's pretty lucky to me." And then Deku starts going off on him, talking to him like, "What about all of the other people? Not to downplay anyone, but doesn't that kid over there have a tail, and that's its only ability? But yet you're over here complaining about the fact that you can generate explosions. But you're unlucky. You always try to make it seem like you're the victim, but you don't even realize how much like you're luckier than most people. You don't, do you? Because you didn't never have to, because you're selfish." Izuku then decides to just walk away. And everyone kind of like heard this but didn't really say anything about it. And since the 0-pointer wasn't actually like, called because everyone was paying attention to their argument, like the time ran out and then the test was over. Izuku walked back to the starting line and everyone begins to look at him, and Izuku then tells them all this, what are they looking at? And then they all look away fearfully and then continue what they were doing. Izuku is then approached by All Might, who basically comes over to him and starts congratulating all of the students, and then walks over to Izuku specifically, and that's when Bakugo's blood starts to boil more. All Might then congratulates him on his victory, and also congratulates him on knowing when enough is enough and not needing to go further than that. Izuku thanks him for his praise, but then continues walking off. Izuku is then walking when All Might catches up to him and asks him a question. He says, "What if I told you that you could have a quirk?" And Izuku says, "What do you mean a quirk? I have a quirk." And, All Might then says, "Yes, I know you have a quirk, but what if I told you could get another quirk?" Izuku then says, "That's impossible. You can't develop two different types of quirks after you've already developed your first one." And that's when All Might says, "Well, what if I told you were wrong?" Deku then says, "Well, why would I want this ability? I don't know anything about it, and I don't know why you're giving it to me. It seems like if you can even give me an ability, it's probably pretty valuable. So what's your goal?" All Might then thinks to himself, this kid's intelligent. Most people would have just said yes. Interesting. He could make a better... No, wait. I shouldn't get my hopes up. I have yet to see all this kid can do. I have to wait a little while. "Well, kid, it was just a theoretical question. No need to worry about it." And he begins to walk off. Izuku then questions what just happened, but considers it not important, considering that, There's nothing else to do. And with that, that's the end of day one, or just the testing period.